الصاحب اللي ما يذكر صاحبه ما في خير. صاحبك اللي لما سويت غلط ما يقول لك يا فلان هذا غلط ما في خير. صاحبك اللي لما قصرت ما قال لك لا ما يجب منك ما في خير. صاحبك اللي يقع في المعصية وانت ساكت وتراه أنت شيطان أخرس لأنك سكت عن الحق لا تصحبه ما في خير. الصاحب الذي لا يقول لصاحبه هيا بنا إلى بيت الله ما في خير. الصاحب اللي يقول لك اجلس اجلس ويترك الطاعات والصالحات إما في مجالس الشرك أو في مجالس البدع أو في مجالس الكبائر والغيبة والكذب والنميمة واللهو والمعاصي والمزامير اتركه. عليك بمن يأخذ بيدك إلى المسجد ودعك من يأخذ بيدك إلى الملهى وإلى المعصية.
Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hope you're doing well. So the noble Shaykh really gave some solid advice about friendship and companions, and it's refreshing because when I was younger I didn't really have people giving me advice like that. So one great thing about social media now is that young people do have access at least to a voice of reason. Okay, even though there's a lot of voices out there that are not that great, we still have people who are dropping some knowledge on us. So I wanted to discuss, I have some notes here, key points, and what it made me think about. Bismillah. So he kept repeating there's no good in him. And then he mentioned musical instruments, someone who tells you to sit down and listen to music, and it made me think about how many young people are encouraged to listen to rap, hip-hop, heavy metal, death metal, rock and roll, retarded Nicki Minaj and Cardi B stuff, and smoke blunts. And this really can take away your faith. It's really takes you farther and farther away from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala because it disrupts your spiritual energy. I know it sounds, I don't know how else to word it, but you'll start feeling more enlightened, more in tune with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And then you listen to some music that gets your adrenaline up, your cortisol up, and takes you on an emotional roller coaster. Now you're thinking about sin, aggression, sinful aggression, not the noble kind, and hedonism, you name it. And now you're back to square one. Okay? So someone who wants you to sit around and listen to haram music is obviously not your friend. Now he mentioned good companions remind one another. And I've mentioned this before. The phenomenon of women who say don't judge me. This is something I've been noticing all over social media. Sorry. When I put these on the hanger, they get like the mark of the hanger. And I find this very troubling. This is why I don't take a lot of advice from women, even though I'm a woman here giving advice. But I can handle good criticism and counsel when it's sincere and it's not just a bunch of insults. I'm fine with that. Fine with blunt, tart truths. However, the thing is that more and more now, women say don't judge, don't judge. You're sinful for judging. You think you're holy because you judge. And this is a way in which women make other women fail at life. And you'll see like women, a good example is when someone is overeating, they've gotten really big. Like they're over 300 pounds. And they'll post a bikini pic, and then people will say, don't judge, don't judge. And you're like, number one, you should be posting a bikini pic. Number two, you really got to be considerate about your health. So many diseases come from obesity. It's not good for you. You need to work on yourself. And you'll get flooded by women who say she's beautiful the way she is, she's stunning, she's bold, she's brave. And here you are watching these women encouraging self-harm and then shaming people who are more of like, hey, you got a serious problem. Okay? And you can look at countless examples where women will be positive when they should be negative. It's almost like this phrase, toxic positivity, which sounds like an oxymoron. But it's really quite true. And I've noticed it more and more. Women will shame other women for holding other women accountable. which enables that person to keep failing at life, keep going more into sin. And then when that person hits rock bottom, they say, why didn't no one stop me on the way down? Well, people tried, but women stepped in and were like, keep going, you go girl, you got this, and high-fiving her on her slide down into the pits of hell. Okay? Start noticing it on social media. The whole don't judge movement, where it leads. Really analyze it. Because men are fine with judging each other and calling each other out on their BS, but women, not so much. And that's why I think a lot of women can't be leaders. Because they can't handle what needs to be done, what needs to be said. And instead, they cater around feelings, and it's just not sustainable. It's not wise. Wisdom is not acquired through that. To just be a mute devil, as the Shaykh put it, is to cause more chaos and sin. Okay? Now, he said here, someone who tells you when something is wrong that you did. Now, this is very important. When someone's able to say, hey man, you know, you should have done this or could have done that, or what if you would have done this, you know, instead of what you did, this can really help somebody. Okay? But you also have to be receptive to this as well. And I found that to be quite helpful in terms of how we can help people do better. Because if you have someone who reminds you, someone who holds you accountable, someone who is able to say you did something wrong, and you're open to it, this can really save you. For example, my mom, if you were to give her some advice on what she's done wrong, she's not going to hear it, even though she screwed up her life completely. She's done nothing but make bad choices. And she will have a bipolar freak out on you if you try to point out something to make her stop. She's got a long list of excuses, but she wants you just to listen and not give her solutions. And then she keeps screwing up, comes back, wants more advice sometimes, and then you start getting into the raw advice and she don't want to hear it, gets mad, has a tantrum, won't talk for a while. Okay? So she flies off the handle really quickly. Now I'm not like tart replies, like someone arguing with you, that's different. I'm talking about throws things, can get physically violent, you know, much more unhinged nature. And this prevents it. Okay. Now, he mentioned also, tells you when you fall short that this is not befitting of you. So, this is where you would hear a woman be like, don't you judge me. How dare you judge me? Who do you think you are? And it's like, well, who do you think you are? You think you're perfect? You're above being reminded, being advised, being counseled. And not all counsel has to be private. If you do something publicly and someone doesn't have a way to contact you privately, I don't see the problem in writing it in a comment section. If you display something publicly, you have the right to be condemned publicly. Okay? I mean, this is absurd. And if women cannot DM men, logically that means that, because it's private, there's not a wali in the chat, and you should only message a man in very important circumstances. Your doctor, you need some serious advice from a person who can give that to you, okay? And you can't disclose personal information in the comments section, right? And so you resort to the DM function. But other than that, you know, if a guy has, like Andrew Tate has made a public video, why is the onus on me to find out I gotta go on a quest, a mission to find his email somehow and message it, or I must remain silent? I don't think so. Because he's influencing thousands of people negatively, and to tell me to hold my tongue about it, well, I wouldn't be being a good Muslim, and I wouldn't be being a good friend. I'm not his friend, but I wouldn't be being a good friend to my friends who are seeing that. You know, you have to speak out against evil, right? It's important for people to be able to speak publicly about public sins. Okay? Now, someone who doesn't remain silent when you fall into sin. So this is about speaking up. Don't be a mute devil, as he put it. If someone is shooting up heroin, or they're doing live streams where they're high, you need to be like, hey man, that's not cool what you're doing. Oh, don't judge. It's fine. Who are you? Who do you think you are? You think you're so pious? I wonder what you do in your spare time. all red herrings, ad hominems, irrelevant. What the person is doing is wrong and they need to be helped. And with certain junkies, that soft talk, they walk all over it. You know, it's fascinating how many people who've had to actually deal with junkies and gangbangers, and, you know, that softness doesn't always work. You have to kind of give the slap on the cheek and, you know, shake them out of their stupidity in a way and be like, hey, you're really messing up. So tough love benefits some people, but others can't really handle it. Women, they really cannot handle tough love. They say that they're equal to men, that they can do anything men can do, that there's no difference between men and women. And they mock people when they say that women are more emotional, more mentally fragile. And yet, if you tell a woman something, a very concise truth, she'll get upset. For example, let me give you an example. There's a trend where women will show their kangaroo pouch after childbirth, where it's all stretch marks and it looks really terrible, and they should get a tummy tuck. This isn't to say that it isn't worth it. Not all women get the same pouch. But they'll post videos saying, people shamed me for showing my stomach. And then they put it on social media, and women will flood the comments and say, you're beautiful, those are your battle scars. And some male simps will say, you're beautiful the way you are, flaunt it. In reality, it looks really terrible. It's not aesthetically pleasing. Even if you didn't have a belly like that, you shouldn't show it either way. Don't show skin, just cover up, and you won't be judged, and you won't have to deal with negative comments. But if you put your body online, you're going to be shamed. Period. You're going to be shamed. And no one is required to lie to you and tell you that your tiger scratch stomach, kangaroo pouch, looks as perfect and as alluring and as sensual as a woman who's never had kids. That's lying. Okay, it's untrue. And you should put it away. Your body is retired off the market. You're no longer qualified to post bikini pics. No one should post bikini pics, but you should put that away. Now, women will say, no, keep doing it. And what does this do? This causes the woman to get more and more negative comments because she's listening to the bad advice of women. Women who are telling her, keep doing it, keep doing it. And men and other honest people are going to say, hey, I don't want to see that on my timeline. I don't want to see nudity, period. But I definitely don't want to see something like your stomach, you know, while I'm eating breakfast. You know, oh, that's misogyny. No. There's a reason why no supermodels have stomachs exposed like that. Not everyone can qualify for everything. Not everyone can be a supermodel, okay? Not everybody can be Mr. Olympia, okay? If Mr. Olympia started getting rid of the fit people and started doing morbidly 600-pound guys, what would be the point, right? You want to see perfect beauty. You don't want to see, you know, the decayingness. It's just not the right place for it. And so, a good friend would tell that girl, that woman rather, stop posting your disfigured, out of shape body online and flaunting it as if you are a Victoria's Secret model, because you're setting yourself up for failure. You're causing yourself mental harm. You don't got it. Put it away. And even if you did have it, still put it away. But especially when you don't got it, put it away. It's like women who will wear tight yoga pants and they got lots of cellulite, they got a weird shaped butt, their guts hanging out. Those pants aren't made for you. Okay? You need to put it away. Modesty is better anyways. But again, women can't really handle that, and you'll always see women lying to other women about how beautiful they look. For example, the Lizzo one. People will say, Lizzo looks beautiful the way she is. And then if you say, oh, you're as beautiful as Lizzo, you look just like her, they'll be like, oh, that's an insult. Why would you say that? Called out their hypocrisy, right? Women have performative lying. Very deceitful. Where they'll smile in your face, tell you look beautiful, then when you turn around, they'll gossip about you and say all these terrible things. Whereas a guy will just be like, straight up, you're fat, you should eat a salad. You know, it's crueler to be a mute devil instead of saying, hey, you know, you're kind of bringing this upon yourself, you shouldn't do that, right? And I've noticed this pattern more and more, and I'm sure if you start to pay attention, you'll see how much women lie and they do virtue signaling. Okay, they'll say like, oh, she looks beautiful, how dare you be so judgmental? And like, okay, do you want her body? So you got your nice body. Do you want to switch with her? Well, no. Why not? You said it's the same. You said it's beautiful. Why don't you switch? But see, it's performative. And then I actually respect people who say, no, I got a tummy tuck because of this. Okay. All right. You know, it's different when someone admits, I didn't like my body, so I got surgery done. Okay. At least they're honest, you know. Now, he mentioned someone who will encourage you to go to the masjid. He also mentioned somebody who is a negative influence that makes you want to abandon Islamic obligations. This is important because I think this happens a lot to men, because there's so many like thuggish guys. Like, think about who Sneeko hangs around with. He's hanging around with some pretty trashy people. Okay, people who want him to not be part of Islam, to hang out with hoes, to be around OF chicks, partying in mansions. He's hanging around Kanye West, who's an absolute lunatic, mentally ill, deranged, should be medicated and put in an asylum. He's not a genius. He committed incest and lewd acts as a minor, upon a minor, and he's heavily into intoxicants and runs his own adult entertainment company and is into cooking. He's Kanye West all around. Should be just put to the history books and away. He went and showed up to the P. Diddy trial as a publicity stunt. He was a really erroneous human being. And it's a good thing that his kids are kept away from him. The bad part is that Sneeko has taken it upon himself, in order to feel famous and get more famous, has taken such a dragon as a companion. Okay? And then has introduced Muslims to such a degenerate. So it's like a disease, an unfolding disease, a malignant, tumorous, infectious plague, cancerous plague that is Kanye West. And Candace Owens promotes Kanye West, and Andrew Tate, and then Harvey Weinstein. So she's just really into promoting men who represent anti-Christian values, but also anti-Islamic values. And you just start to see the network of degeneracy building. And you gotta be real careful. Okay? So, Kanye West knows how to dominate Sneeko's mind. And I think Sneeko, you know, is he part of the Kanye West cult? Because people change when they get around Kanye, because he has that effect on people. Whether it's Milo Yiannopoulos, Nick Fuentes, you know, Alex Jones, people get around him and then they get dominated. And that's the dangerous part, is that when a bisexual male who's bipolar, mentally disturbed, and I would argue some type of demonically possessed, is floating around like a toxic chemical cloud around a revert, that's a dangerous combo. And so this Shaykh, when he's talking, I think about Sneeko, and you think about Andrew Tate, because Andrew Tate, yeah, Islam was convenient for when he could use Muslims to fund his campaign, to get out of jail, to promote his name, to promote his brand, to buy his courses, and all that jazz. You know, his Hustle University crap. Alright. But then when it came to actually following the rules, it didn't work. And Faris Hamadi, who Daniel Haqiqatjou calls Rabbi Faris, he once made a video that I watched saying that, you know, you shouldn't criticize Andrew Tate publicly. Maybe you can go look that up. I'll type in the keywords, find the clip. But he said that he's new to Islam, we shouldn't criticize him. And I thought about what this Shaykh said about being a mute devil. If Andrew Tate is partying with hoes on a yacht, and they're booty shaking, and they're smoking cigars, free mixing, promoting sin to the Muslims, and you're telling other reverts who got past such sins not to condemn this action, but to be mute, turn a blind eye, don't say anything. And I know there's been a paradox of people will say, like, well, Andrew Tate has access to Muhammad Hijab and Faris Hamadi. Why aren't they advising him? And then that's a whole nother conversation as well. And so you see here that also I believe Brother Andrew Tate went and blocked Daniel Hakikishu, Brother Jake Brancatella, Brother Sajid, the Farid Explains, a lot of people. Okay, he blocked a lot of people after they were giving him advice about his anti-immigrant, right-wing, white supremacist propaganda. Okay, and so you notice a pattern of people who think they're above being criticized. So when a woman says, "Don't judge me," you're like, "Hey, people have a right to judge you." And then you see men who are like, "If you criticize me, I block you automatically." Then you're like, I understand if somebody, like I've had trolls in the past who just go on and on and on and on, and they repeat themselves. They're not really being like helpful or informative, and the way they word it is very jarring. And then I've had some people who they constantly disagree with me, but they word it in a way that's digestible, concise, and educated, and can be funny sometimes. And you're like, oh, okay, that's fine. Good point, touche. Right? And that's manageable. And I know that Brother Daniel, Jake, and others, they're very respectful with the way they disagreed with Brother Tate. But Tate is an egomaniac like Kanye West. They can't handle it. Kanye West couldn't handle Tim Pool's interview, walked out. Couldn't handle Piers Morgan's mild compliments and Sneeko like a beta boy. Defended and was a lapdog of Kanye and got mad at Piers Morgan, making it sound like Piers Morgan was the bad one, and you're like, no, he's just very mentally disturbed, Kanye West, and he can't handle a pushback at all. And so the whole point that this Shaykh was talking about to me was being able to receive and give, speak up, all these types of advice. And that if we want to become better Muslims, we have to advise each other. There was a video of a Niqabi sister doing a gang crip walk to some music like Kendrick Lamar or Drake or some music like that. And I wrote Astaghfirullah, sister should do better, something like that. And for months now, people will tag me and say the most crazy things. And I've spent time going back and forth with these people, and I would just tell them, Muslims advise one another. And if you don't like that, oh well, and you're not Muslim, so why are you getting in the way of two Muslims advising one another? And it all comes down to the kafir getting upset that Muslims are holding each other accountable. They say, oh, what's wrong with it? And it's like, well, we're not supposed to imitate the kuffar, so doing crip walk is a gang walk, which means you're glorifying gang activity and gang music. Okay? And we're not supposed to, in the fatwas of Imam al-Albani, Shaykh al-Albani, it says that women shouldn't dance publicly in front of men. And crip walk is a form of dancing, so she shouldn't post gang walk videos glorifying gang culture and desecrating the niqab. To me, I see the niqab, Islamic clothing, as a call for us to be the best versions of ourselves, okay, even though we fall short. But we shouldn't intentionally do criminal things, and we shouldn't intentionally glorify gang activity while wearing Muslim clothing, because it creates a bad image upon all of us, right? And if you know my history, you'll know that I'm very sensitive, weary about gang culture, because I was in a gang as a young age, and a lot of people don't ever get out, and the only way they get out is through a coffin, and it's a deep form of addiction to cortisol, danger, and thrills. And so when women are promoting that kind of ghetto, degenerate, criminal behavior to the Muslim youths and infecting them, I don't take that lightly. And then some people got mad that he used the word ghetto, but it's an accurate descriptor. There's nothing wrong with using accurate language to describe horrendous activities. And for months now, weeks, months, I'll get people saying like, you're judgmental, who do you think you are? You think you're some type of angel? I bet you do this, I bet you do that. And it's like, this is all irrelevant. All irrelevant. According to Islamic rules, what the sister is doing is wrong, and she's being advised. And I don't have her private DM. I don't know who uploaded the video. It was from a guy. I shared it like a couple months back, I think. I remember sharing it on the community tab. So it wasn't, she uploaded it, but someone screen grabbed it and uploaded it to their Instagram page. So it's not like I can message her, but, you know, other sisters who are reverts and are struggling to reform their bad habits can see maybe that whole comment thread where, yes, I'm rude in some regard to some people because they started saying, you know, all Muslims are this, all Muslims are that. And then you're like, okay, you want to take the gloves off? You're going to take the gloves off, okay? But I just kept noticing this pattern of people getting mad that I was reminding the sister and others what Islam encourages us to behave like, right? We're all going to fall short sometimes. I swear sometimes. Got to work on it, okay? But that doesn't mean I can't correct somebody for doing a gang walk because I swear sometimes. You see what I'm saying? That's ridiculous. And Christians are the ones who are like, oh, he who without sin cast the first stone. And then forget the last part that says, and rise and sin no more. So that Jesus was telling you to cut off that sin. Don't do it again. Now, oh, keep sinning and we're supposed to clap and applaud you and turn a blind eye as you promote bad things. No. Okay? And even if someone is addicted to, let's say, they're addicted to gambling, that doesn't mean they can't tell you to stop eating McDonald's every day. You see what I'm saying? Now, if they are drunk and they're telling you not to be a drunk, then they're like, hey, well, you're doing the same sin. This is a form of hypocrisy, right? But someone who's actively working on becoming better can definitely give admonitions, warnings, sincere advice, you name it, to someone who is promoting a different kind of sin. There's literally nothing wrong with that. And so, this Shaykh, it's very beneficial because women need to hear this. And I think it's really incumbent upon us as reverts, especially, to stand firm and be like, okay, so-and-so gave me advice. Are they sincere? Are they not? Are they just clout chasing? What's their intention? You know. But then other times it's like, okay, I gotta be able to hear the hard part out loud. Okay? And then also just knowing how to deliver the criticism. Right? Someone doesn't have to grovel at your feet before they tell you you messed up. And a lot of people expect that. They expect you to be like, I love this, this, and this, and this, and this about you, but you did this, this, and that. No one has to fluff you up and then deliver the bad news. They can simply come to you and say, hey, I noticed you did this, you know, and then how you respond is very important. And sometimes it can be a misunderstanding as well. You know, there's certainly going to be times in life where someone thought you meant something, you just didn't word it really well, or they heard a rumor and they need clarification, right? And so, be open to criticism. A lot of rad fams blocked right away. I mean, it's quite fascinating, you know? Quite fascinating. And if you do get blocked by somebody who usually is very chill, then you have to see your delivery wasn't as best as it could be. You know, there are some people who I'm like, wow, they didn't block me even though I was very stern in what I said. That's pretty cool. And then there's people who you say one small thing, like a question, and they're like blocked, and you're like, this person's petty. They're masquerading as someone who's knowledgeable, but as soon as you raise a contrarian point that's valid and sound, they block. So what are you going to do? So Islam is not the religion of being a mute devil. Islam is the religion of sincere advice, and that you want to have companions, noble companions, who can help you to become better in your faith, not drag you away from it. And that's really important. And don't be a people pleaser who's always trying to be the social butterfly and abandon everything you've learned about Islam because you don't want to lose all your friends or your status or your streaming stuff. You know? being right can be a lonely path. You know, it really can. You can get vindicated and no one will remember to come back and say, I'm sorry, I was wrong, or something like that. And sometimes people can criticize you and get mad at you for correcting them, and then what you warned them about happens, and then they're like, oh man, I better go back and tell that person sorry, because I'm sure all of us have had times where someone warned us. We got mad at them, and then later found out like, oh, they were right. So there's something to think about. Let me know what you think. Please like, comment, subscribe, share, join the blog. I've been posting a lot more on the blog. And maybe there's been a time in your life, you know, where somebody gave you advice and you flipped out, but then later you realize they were right and you feel dumb, and maybe you've learned a good point to be more cautious with chasing people away when they give you advice. Let me know what you think. Take care.